Welcome to Sober.Coffee, a weekly coffee chat sharing experience, strength, and hope for anyone on the sober road to recovery. You can download Sober.Coffee weekly on all podcast platforms and check us out on Instagram at Sober.Coffee Podcast and on Twitter at Sober.Coffee Pod. To learn more about us and to help support these sessions, visit online at Sober.Coffee. Here are your hosts, two guys on their own path to recovery, Mike and Glenn. Let's join them at the coffee shop.
Mr. G, what's up?
What's up, Mikey? Man, you sound tired today. Are you tired or what?
No,
What's going on?
I got to
drink more, man. Drink it faster.
I know. I got it going.
Faster.
I got it going.
Got to keep you pumped up.
Yeah, hey, we got a table for three today, man.
I love table for threes. What's going on today?
Well, today we got somebody actually you introduced me to, and so just so everybody knows who the players are. Glenn handles social media, right? And when I say handle,
that's
he understands
very broad term.
He understands it a lot better than I do, and he's out there on X and he's out there on Instagram and he's juggling emails.
Maybe.
The man's very connected. And so he handles that. I handle the website stuff. And then when we have guests, you'll say, oh, man, I just met this dynamo on Instagram. You got to get her on. And I'm like, all right. So I reach out to Valarie and we connect the guests. And then we come on and just a little behind the scenes, we don't have an agenda. We don't know what's going to happen in the next 30 minutes, but we're going to talk sobriety. We're going to have some fun, and hopefully I'm going to learn a little more than I know already. So this is
Valarie, welcome.
Yeah, Valarie, welcome from California.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So do you remember, can you go back to the genesis of our relationship? I mean, did you reach out to Glenn? Was there a post you saw, or how does that whole thing work on Instagram?
Yeah, so I think I came across the Sober.Coffee Podcast on IG, and I think I did reach out to Glenn, and I don't remember what I said. I think I asked him to maybe share a post. I'm really not sure. But then after that, I guess he checked out my page, and then he donated to my mission, which is spiritual cardio, and I'm sure we'll get into that.
Yeah.
And then we messaged each other and talked about being on each other's podcasts, and now here we are.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's great. Here's the funny thing. I mean, we have, a lot of the folks on our Sober Instagram and stuff, right, the Sober social media stuff, don't use their real names.
Right.
So it's hard to track who does what and what, but no, it's great. It's great to connect Valarie and yeah, in real time, it was a, great connection. I just saw you doing great stuff. So looking forward to just, kind of sharing your experience, strength and hope and what you're working on.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Well, I will start off with, I just had my 6-year birthday on September 1st.
Wow,
Fantastic, man.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I've been sober for 6 years now.
So life is full of roses and unicorns and rainbows?
Well, not at the beginning, but no, it's absolutely not that. But however... However, it's a blessing to be sober. It's one of the most important and best decisions I've ever made. It really changed my life. Like, I would not be doing what I'm doing now had I not gotten sober. That was the very first step. I would not have a podcast. I would not have a coaching business. Everything happened because I decided to look at myself without any buffers, without ego, without any enablers nearby, like seriously got radically honest.
Sounds
and
like
from
real.
there, everything changed.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, without any of the buffers. I love that. And
sounds like being real.
Yeah, right. Just straight raw.
Radical honesty.
Yeah.
You have to get radically honest with yourself.
Mm-hmm. So
from there, everything changed.
Yeah, tell me about 7 years ago. Let's go back there. Let's spend a couple of minutes in 7 years ago, and then let's spend most of our time in the last 6 years. So tell me about 7 years ago. Where'd you find yourself?
Wow. Okay, so 7 years ago, I was trying to get sober, but I relapsed a few times. I knew that alcohol was the common denominator to my problems at the time. That was before any healing work. But I was struggling. I did not want to stop drinking. There were blackouts. There was waking up from a blackout in strange places with strange people. And then the final straw was the DUI. That was when I said no more. Mm-hmm. But after a relapse, it's so hard to stop. I didn't want to stop.
Right.
I knew I had to stop, but I didn't want to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's a real funny struggle like that. I'm one of the cases where when I came into the program, Alcoholics Anonymous, I haven't relapsed since I gave myself to this program. But that being said, I relapsed 1,000,000 times in my life. 1,000,000 times. I had sworn this thing off. But like you said, Valarie, I wanted it. As I was swearing it off, I knew it was so integral and a part of my being. I needed it. I wanted it. And I would just get sucked right back into it with little fight. I just didn't have fight.
Yeah, the mind is something very powerful because it slowly starts convincing you that one drink won't hurt.
Right.
That you can control it this time. When I went back, there was this little voice in my head that kept saying, you can control it now. You're good. You got this. You can do this. But, as it is a progressive disease and it just slowly takes over. And then before you know it, you're like romanticizing drinking.
Right. So that was a snapshot of 7 years ago. So the DUI was kind of your come to reality moment. That was it, huh?
Final stop.
Yeah.
But there were rock bottoms before that. But the DUI is where I said no more. No more. I'm done.
Yeah.
So what did you do? What was your first step when you said no more? What was your first step?
The first step was finally admitting to myself, not to anybody else.
Just to yourself.
Finally to myself to say, you have a problem. And if you don't fix it, if you don't stop it, you are going to continue hurting yourself. You're going to continue living miserably. And I finally got tired of the shame. Mm-hmm. Finally noticed the shame and said no more. So that was step one for me.
So did you go to a program or did you do this yourself? Did you go to AA? Did you go to one of the other programs?
So no, not immediately. For me, the desperation was so bad that just making that decision to stop was enough for me to stop. Mm-hmm. So I started associating drinking with like misery and pain. And that was enough to keep me sober for a few years before I started going to AA meetings. The only reason I started going to AA was because of the DUI, but I wasn't committed. I wasn't working the program. And I had this mantra back then, which kept me sober, which was, if I choose to drink, I choose to suffer. So that was my program.
I love that. If I choose to drink, I choose to suffer.
So just to clarify, because of your DUI, they told you to go to AA. It was one of their requirements for your DUI program?
Yeah.
So you had excellence thrust upon you?
Mm-hmm. Yep. They put a breathalyzer in your car. They make you go to AA. And, you have to get a court card signed. Mm-hmm. You have to pay a fine. Then your license gets suspended for 30 days.
Are you a licensed driver today without a machine?
I am a licensed driver. It's so weird not being able to drive.
Yeah, right. I saw the big smile on your face. It's like, yes, I'm a responsible driver now, right?
Yeah. So was there a point in time you were going to AA because you had to, right? Let's just say it that way, or you were guided to or forced to. And do you still go to AA today? And then you obviously don't have to today if you do for the court system. So what happened?
Yeah. So I go to AA currently. Absolutely. I went in and out of the program. Although I stayed sober, I would go to meetings here and there after the whole DUI debacle. However, a few years later, which is current time now, I'm on step 6. And the reason why I chose to work the steps now is because I know that there is a lot of ascension in doing the steps. I know that there is a lot of healing in working the program. And so that's why I chose to do it. So I didn't choose it back then because I just knew I was a mess, but also I knew that I was going to stay sober. I knew that I wasn't going to drink anymore. But however, now I'm choosing to do it because of the ascension. I want the spirituality.
I love that. I love that. So it's kind of like for me, I went to college and I hated it and I didn't read because I was forced to go and I was forced to read a book. Now I love to learn, right? I just love to learn about all kinds of topics and, you know, and because I want that ascension like you talk about. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's your podcast about? Tell us about your podcast.
Yeah. So a few years ago, I started a coaching program and it's called Spiritual Cardio. So it's, I mainly work with women and it's all about helping women navigate the depths of making peace with their inner truth, because we go through life carrying these stories that we don't deal with. And it's stories that create shame and sadness and depression. And so as I did my healing work, I recognized that the reason I was such a drunk and living in self-hate is because something happened to me when I was a child and I had never dealt with it. And I carried that deep-seated shame for so long. And so when as I healed, I recognized the importance and the value of doing our inner work. And so then I designed a coaching program to help women navigate their inner work so that they can become the best version of themselves. And with that, I started a podcast to spread the wisdom of spiritual cardio to whoever's willing to listen and do the work for themselves.
Excellent. So your coaching program, is that virtual or is that in person? Do you do retreats? What does that look like? And please provide our listeners with some of the details on how to contact you.
Yeah, absolutely. So the spiritual cardio coaching program is virtual. It's on Zoom. I do live events here and there, and people can look me up at Spiritual Cardio. That's on Instagram, TikTok. I have a YouTube channel as well. And the podcast is available on wherever anybody gets their podcast. So Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, anywhere.
That's awesome. I'm a little upset, though. Do you mind if I just vent a little bit?
Mikey wants to be included.
Yeah, I want to be included. I mean, you think you've got a monopoly on shame and guilt, remorse? I'm here to say maybe I'm identifying as one of your clients.
That is a really good point. Mike, because I am currently working on my blocks with men.
That's awesome.
So right now I'm doing hypnotherapy and we're working through blocks on my fear with men. So a lot of trauma of mine comes because of abuse in childhood, or men have really disappointed me growing up. Mm-hmm. And as I'm working through that, I'm healing these blockages. And I think that my practice, as well as my hypnotherapy practice, because I am getting certified, will include men. I want to include men now. Mm-hmm. So the work is working.
Right. So do you find that through your coaching, the principles and the practices of AA, do you find yourself integrating them into your coaching? Because I believe the steps and principles, the practices of AA are good for anybody, because in my opinion anyway, and should focus on myself, but everyone's got a hang up. And I think everybody had trauma in their life. Whether I consider it trauma or not, they consider it trauma, some kind of trauma in their life. And you're right, I held on to that for so long, that shame, guilt, remorse, anger, things I couldn't. and I didn't forgive that little Mike for his role in that thing for a long time. And it wasn't until I got a good therapist who said, hold on a second, why are you holding on to some kind of anger towards 5-year-old Mike when 5-year-old Mike he was a 5-year-old? Think of that, his perspective, right? So yeah, I think it's great. But my question is, do you find yourself then integrating kind of these practices and principles into your coaching career now?
That's a really good question. And yes, I think that they do parallel each other because there's spirituality is universal. And what I teach in the coaching program is not anything that is like, I didn't create it, right? Like forgiveness is something that I did not create, but I walk my clients through the forgiveness practice so that they can start feeling the liberation internally of what it feels like to set their heart free from resentment and hate. And then to your point as well is that I also recognize that I was living in self-hate, and the manifestation of self-hate was the alcoholism, was the addiction. That was a self-destructive behavior. And so doing the work, getting sober and getting radically honest with yourself is the best thing you will ever do, because it will set you free from the behavior patterns that set you back, that keep you stuck, that hurt you.
Yeah, that's great. So I just jumped on your YouTube, Spiritual Cardio Podcast, and some of the episodes, you have quite a number of episodes, is great. The Gift of Sobriety, Inspiration and Tips, your personal journey, the journey of the healing, shame, mastering mindset, healing the inner child, finding courage. That's fantastic.
Those are all perfect topics.
Yeah, Valarie, that's just fantastic.
Yeah, you're really sending the message out there.
That's what caught my eye.
Yeah.
Very relevant topics.
Absolutely. I love talking about personal growth, transformation, the inner child. I mean, we all have an inner child inside of us that is either being silenced or is being seen and heard. Which one do we choose? Are we silencing them through our addictions, through alcohol? Are we watering them down, which is something that I did for many, many years? Or am I now choosing to heal her, to see her, to hear her? I want to teach as many people as possible through the content that I put out through my podcast and through Spiritual Cardio. I want to teach as many people as possible is that there is hope and there is such a better life out there for you. If you are struggling, maybe it's not alcohol. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's workaholic.
Shopping.
Right?
Could be shopping. It
a lot of
could be
addictions, a lot of isms.
Yeah, a lot of isms. So if you are struggling, I want my content, the purpose of it is to give people hope and to let them know that on the other side of getting radically honest with yourself and doing your inner work, there's a whole other life. Because when I decided to stop drinking, I thought my life was over. I thought that's it. I'm never going to have fun again. But God, that was the decision that changed the trajectory of my life. And I'm so grateful for those rock bottoms.
I wish people could see your face, your smile, your glow.
Totally,
I mean,
up.
right?
Yep,
it totally
absolutely
lights up. You can just see it and feel it and hear it. And yeah, it's really good stuff. So September 24, which is where we're at now, you're 6 years in. We started out by, in the dark. Tell us a little bit about the light. I mean, I see what you're doing. And so you've almost already answered the question for me, but do you find that you're kind of living purpose right now? And do you find that, yes, there's still struggles. This is just me talking now. There's still struggles in my life, and people get sick and people die, and there's financial, everyone's, wants more money. I get all that. But boy, like you said, that radical honesty that I am where I am, I have what I have, and I can, with clarity, make a connection to who I am today, it gives me peace. Can you describe your feeling right now, or your aura of where you're at in this part of your journey, just flipping 6 years?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good question. Nobody's asked me that. But where I'm at now is that fully living in my authenticity, knowing exactly who I am now because I chose to stop numbing, living like, wait, let me rephrase that. So living in my authenticity, right? Knowing my values and knowing my value, not only what I value, but that I am valuable now. That is very powerful. That gives me a lot of peace. And also pursuing purpose, being purposeful daily gives me peace. Knowing that my heart wants to help people heal gives me peace. And pursuing that makes my soul happy. I call spiritual cardio my soul hustle. So as long as I'm pursuing my soul hustle,
that's great.
my soul is happy.
Well, you're quite inspirational.
Does that answer that?
That's
yes,
great.
that sure did answer it. You're quite inspirational. I hope somebody finds that hope that you're trying to deliver and picks it up through some of your, your writings, your content you make available online. I hope somebody who's holding on to, that the feelings of the past, I hope they see the message of hope and healing here.
And we have quite a number of sober sisters.
Yeah, we do.
We can share the message.
And they listen. So
Yep.
So listen to this, gal.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and open this program up to men, because Glenn and I will sign up.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Valarie, thank you so much for jumping on. Really, really appreciate it, and for sharing the message. And it's great to connect out there in the sober spiritual social media world.
Yeah.
It's monster. It's huge.
It's a superpower. Thank you,
Totally
Valarie.
Yeah.
Thanks, Valarie.
Thank you so much for having me. Look up at Spiritual Cardio anywhere, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you.
Sounds great, Valarie. Thanks, man.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us for today's coffee chat. To contact the show, email us at podcast@Sober.Coffee. If you need immediate help, the AA hotline is 800-839-1686. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 800-273-8255. Remember, Mike and Glenn are sharing their own journey on the path to recovery. Any suggestions, medical or otherwise, are their own experiences and should not be viewed as professional advice. See you next week, and remember, there is a solution.
Stay safe in the city of Chicago. Beautiful city.